guys, it's Real Talk with Kelsey.
It's us!
Except we're coming at you live, and this is the first time we're doing this, and we are also figuring stuff out.
Will it work, Rachel?
Bear with us. It's live. Look.
Wait, how can that Spider-Man GIF, or it's not called a GIF.
We just entered the Spider-Verse.
Okay,
it's happening. It's happening, which also means there's a live chat. So if you want to live chat with us, by all means, go ahead. But tonight, we're going to talk about the PFL because they just debuted, started their season. What do you want to call it? Kelsey, tell us.
The start of their season. It's PFL1. It's the first regular season fights of the PFL season. And the PFL had a bunch of new bell cows to trot out there.
Bell cows.
And one of their biggest bell cows, their moviest bell cow, let's say, Showtime, Anthony Pettis, lost his fight against Clay Collard in a huge upset, Rachel.
Huge upset.
Huge.
I mean, like, I can't even... It's a big upset. And...
I'm not wearing my glasses, Rachel, so I can't see.
Stop!
Hey!
You're stealing my light.
Who's out there? What's this internet?
There's nobody out there.
Somebody's
You're just falling in love with yourself.
Somebody's out there. I can't see myself. It's like...
Okay. Anthony Pettis comes in, debut. He's a huge signing for the PFL, right?
He's the face of the PFL.
It's a big deal. He comes in, but the PFL doesn't mess around. And right out of the gate, he's paired up, matched against Clay Collard, which I kind of feel like is my Clay Collard because he had a standout year in 2020 in the world of boxing, and I'm a longtime boxing fan, new to MMA fan.
There was nothing to root for in boxing during the pandemic except Clay Collard, who came over from MMA, who took a bunch of fights, who was the B-side in boxing in a lot of those early fights and was beating people up as the underdog. And Rachel, he did it again.
Yeah, so when the fight started, here I was torn. Here I had Clay Collard, and, But then Anthony Pettis, when a guy comes in and he's a big signing and he's like the face and he's all, I kind of want him to win too. And so when the fight started, I was like, man, Clay Collard looks really good. And he was like, and I was familiar, like I liked the way he was holding his hands. So I don't see that a lot in MMA when somebody holds their arms in, because that's what you do in boxing. And he had this kind of boxing kind of feel to what he was doing, but then throwing some spinning back fists in there and kicks and whatnot too on top of it. So, but as it was unfolding, I was like, man, I think Clay Collard's like...
He looked really, really good. He talked about before the fight that his boxing would separate him from the rest of the lightweights, including versus Pettis. He said that Pettis was walking around the place like he owned the place, which kind of makes sense if you're like...
He ran into him in the bubble there at the Ocean City Casino.
Which you had to run into people because it was a 17-day... They were there for 17 days. But yeah, he thought that, this guy was walking around like he owns the place, and he was excited to get this fight. He wants to win that $1 million, and he has a chance now. Rachel has a chance to get to the playoffs, to get in that tournament, and to win $1 million. Now, here's the other great thing about the PFL, I think. Anthony Pettis, it's not like he just goes away now.
This is a regular season, not a tournament yet.
How many times have we seen, and your favorite NFL team is probably, like mine, the Dallas Cowboys. And how many times have we seen the America's team, Rachel, lose a game and yet go on to the playoffs and participate? And of course, the Cowboys have won multiple Super Bowls. Thank you, America, and thank you, Cowboys. So it's an exciting time. I can't wait. It was a big kickoff show. The presentation was clean. Two of the returning champions, Nathan Schultz and Lance Palmer, two very popular fighters in MMA and in PFL, they also lost their fights tonight.
Yeah, so it was a night of upsets.
Huge
for the
upsets.
PFL.
So it was exciting. I keep thinking about the Professional Football League, but that's not what it is. It's Fighters League. The NFL thing, the National Football League. I keep thinking about it. It means nothing.
I would also like to just talk about the PFL because this is my first time watching the PFL, and their big selling thing is that they have a regular season and then they have a tournament. So the UFC does matchmaking for all their fights. You go and look at Bellator, and they have Grand Prix tournaments.
Sometimes.
But the PFL takes the, like, I'm going to say traditional, but maybe I mean like American style, Western style, like type sports season. And they have a season. So this is the regular season, and then people gain points throughout the season, and the top 4 in the division will go on to be in the playoffs, and then there's a championship, you know? And so that's their big selling thing, and you hear it like all the time, right? So I was like, how do I just feel about it? Marketing's one thing, but how do I? And I got to say, I thought it was really interesting because as I was watching it tonight, I was like, I'm going to see Clay Collard and Anthony Pettis. I'm going to see them again. And then the fight before that, like, I was like, I'm going to see these guys, and not like in 6 months.
Right, or a year. They're going to take a year off because they don't get a fight.
Right, like, it's going to be within the season. I'm going to get to see these guys and see how they stack up against other guys in the division. And then I'm going to see who gets a playoff. I was like, I feel kind of invested.
Yeah.
In the thing. So it's definitely interesting. I think that there is room in the MMA space for the both styles of matchmaking, if you want to call it, both style to exist. Because I know when we first talked about this, was a really long time ago, you had brought it up and I had shared about it. And somebody, a friend of mine had said, she wasn't too high on the whole season thing because she liked the excitement of a big fight. So, like when John Jones is going to fight, like say he fights, for instance, Ngannou, like they're going to build that. There's like a feeling about a big fight. And she was like, she felt like that would be kind of missed. And I get that too. So I think that there's space for both in the MMA world.
For sure. And if there is space for both, you definitely want to give space to the one with, I think, the cleanest programming, right? I think that the PFL is the only MMA promotional company that I've seen on TV with as good digital assets and presentation as the UFC. When I watch other things, I don't get the same kind of feeling, and that's really impressive. I also don't see it in boxing that often. Okay. We talked a little bit about this off camera, and you said that maybe in boxing that PBC has done that with a lot of their programming with Fox Sports. But other than that, I think that there's not a lot of competition out there that looks as clean as far as presentation goes. And I think that's important, especially if you're trying to get people that maybe aren't already invested or know about the fight world, but get people your regular Joe sports fan. Sports fan? Sports fan.
The other thing that I liked they had a lot of graphics for data they were providing all throughout the fight.
Yeah.
So I got strike speed. I got there wasn't somebody sitting outside the cage who was like, he punched him, he kicked him, like doing little tallies with like some hitting
punch, kick, punch,
hitting a button. But you told me that they have sensors.
They got all sorts of stuff on that cage too.
And I don't know exactly how they're calculating everything, but it seems a little more accurate.
It seems a little fancy, right? Like they've got a lot of fancy toys.
So it did take me a little while to get accustomed to, like, when you watch any kind of sporting event, you have to get accustomed to the overlay and how they're putting things on there for you. And so it took me a while to get accustomed, but I did. I adjusted, and I thought it was really interesting.
What didn't you like, Rachel? Usually, you do like to air your grievances.
I do. I did notice the lack of a crowd there.
Right,
which I haven't in other things, so I don't know why I noticed it so much in this one. But it might be because I've recently been watching a few events here and there where the crowd was brought back. Yeah. And so now it's sticking out to me a little bit more.
In the UFC, it seemed like that because even before they sold tickets to events, they kind of brought in more and more people as each event went on, right?
Yeah,
I think the original ones, the first ones without crowd noises, it stuck out real bad. So maybe this one was more like that. I think the reason that they've kept the people so limited in attendance and even while the bubble is so long is because they have a season format. If a UFC fighter gets sick, they can just get another fighter in there. These guys want to keep the people.
Oh, yeah. That's why the bubble is so important.
Yeah, so they're really protective of that and have all these health.
Well, imagine, if Pettis had, caught COVID and then, this is your tournament, your regular season, it's a big deal.
God forbid if like he got it but didn't know it, went up,
Right.
and then everybody's infected, and then the whole season is lost. So I think they've done a good job with that. I would say that they have a lot of technology, like we talked about. They have a lot of stuff on the screen. I feel like maybe I should be given a pamphlet of things that's like, here's what this is. Like.
Well, we didn't watch the prelims, so
like,
we might have missed a whole setup for that.
I feel like I don't care. I still want the pamphlet.
Okay.
Or I feel like it was a lot of stuff that I'm not used to seeing. I liked it, but I feel like it was a lot of information to take in.
I would also like to give a shout out to the ring announcer.
Lillian Garcia, because I
was
her.
In the kitchen and I was like, man, every time I hear this PFL ring announcer, it reminds me of the 2016 WWE video game, which is the only one we played. But she was the announcer in that, and so I like her voice, her vocal quality, and yeah.
So all in all, I think I enjoyed PFL1. I thought it was fun. I'm excited about the season. I'm probably maybe even more excited because who would have thought those guys, all three champions,
like all these upsets,
2 champions, and then your face of the franchise would have lost. And pretty they were besides Natan Scholl, I think the other two were significant losses. I'm saying it was a clear loss and not it wasn't like a closely contested fight. I mean, it was a close comp. I'm not saying do you see what I'm saying? Too much live. This stream is too live. Some streams are live. This stream is too live.
All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in to this YouTube live that we're doing for our reactions for PFL1 on April 23rd.
Why are we saying that? We are robots.
Let us know if you like that, if you want us to go back to editing.
Don't let us know that. Encourage us. I say encourage us to try new things.
Yeah, but we did it. We figured it out. And it happened. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. And we're going to see you guys tomorrow night.
Mañana.
UFC something. Masvidal.
261.
There you go. I just didn't know the number. All right.